Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something, well, it's truly fascinating. Maybe a little unsettling too, but definitely thought-provoking. Imagine this. What if, just overnight, every single human vanished from Earth? Poof. No big event, no warning, just gone. Now, this isn't science fiction, not really. We're approaching this as a serious scientific question. In this deep dive, we'll explore how our presence has shaped the planet and what the natural world might actually look like without us. And the core idea, which might surprise you, is that Earth wouldn't really miss us. In fact, it might start to heal. Pretty remarkably fast, actually.
Exactly. That's really the mission for us today. We're going to unpack what scientists believe would happen, day by day, year by year, if humans just weren't here anymore. And it's a powerful thought experiment because it tells us so much about our footprint, our environmental impact, and also about the incredible resilience of nature itself.
Okay, let's jump right in then. Those first moments, those first 24 hours, what actually happens?
Well, the halt would be incredibly abrupt, almost instantaneous in some ways. Think about it, within that first day, planes fall out of the sky. No pilots. Simple as that. And the power grids, our complex electrical systems, they'd start failing almost immediately as power plants go unmanned. Cities would just fall silent, streets empty. It'd be eerie, a kind of stillness we could barely comprehend.
Wow, and the immediate effect on the environment just from that quiet alone, I mean, noise pollution, that would just vanish.
Instantly. And you'd likely see wildlife responding very quickly. Cautiously at first, maybe venturing into cities, into towns, places they haven't been seen in generations. Just sort of testing the waters.
Taking back the soundscape in a way.
Precisely. And then as you move from the first day into the next week, maybe the first month, you start seeing these cascading failures. Without electricity, those essential water pumps stop working.
Oh, right, like in subways.
Exactly. Subways, underground tunnels, basements even, they'd start flooding. Significant flooding. Those systems would basically become underground rivers.
That's quite an image. And what about domestic animals, pets, farm animals?
That's one of the harsher realities, isn't it? Without human care, they'd struggle immensely. Many wouldn't survive. It highlights this really deep dependence we've created.
A really poignant consequence.
Indeed. But on the flip side, you'd see wild animals moving much more freely. Deer on Main Street, foxes in city squares, that kind of thing.
And those early environmental signs. Air quality, light pollution.
You'd see improvements almost immediately. Air pollution would start to drop. Light pollution would decrease drastically as city lights go out. And that wildlife exploration we mentioned, it would really pick up pace. They get bolder, reclaiming spaces more confidently.
Okay, so let's fast forward. What about a year later? What does, say, a typical suburban street look like?
Well, after a year, the lack of maintenance really starts to show. Think about heating in winter. Without it, pipes burst. Freeze-thaw cycles start degrading concrete and brick. Buildings begin that slow process of crumbling. Weather just takes its toll, unchecked.
Visually, it must be quite dramatic. You mentioned weeds earlier.
Oh, absolutely. Weeds, vines, saplings, they'd be everywhere.
Yeah.
Cracking roads, pushing through sidewalks, climbing up buildings. Nature is incredibly opportunistic.
It just moves in.
It really does. And this breakdown of our structures, combined with less human disturbance, opens the door for larger animals to return. You'd start seeing deer, bears, maybe even wolves and big cats, depending on the region, venturing into suburbs and even city parks, reclaiming old territories.
Now, the atmosphere. This is where it gets really interesting for me. A year on, are we seeing significantly cleaner air?
Definitely. Pollution levels, especially things like smog and particulate matter from traffic and industry, would have dropped dramatically. Skies would be noticeably clearer. You'd see stars in places you haven't seen them in, well, centuries perhaps. It shows how quickly some pollution dissipates once the source is gone.
A powerful demonstration.
Very. Now stretch that out further, say 10 to 50 years. This is where you see major ecological shifts. Forests would start seriously reclaiming farmland, those neat fields. They'd be filling in with trees and shrubs. Cities would become progressively greener, almost buried under vegetation in some areas. Think jungles growing over skyscrapers.
And the air and water quality over that timescale.
Significantly cleaner. Rivers would be finding their natural courses again as dams eventually fail without maintenance or are bypassed. They'd run freely.
Which must have a huge impact on aquatic life.
A massive impact. And biodiversity in general would rebound significantly. Species that were endangered primarily due to habitat loss or hunting, things like wolves, rhinos, big cats, their numbers would likely increase dramatically. Nature finds a balance when pressures are removed.
So fast forward again, 100 years, maybe even 1,000. What's left of our world, our buildings, our roads?
By that point, most of our structures are gone or unrecognizable. Metal rusts and collapses. Concrete crumbles and gets covered. Roads. They'd largely disappear under forests and grasslands.
Wow. Almost erased.
Pretty much. Nature would be flourishing. Ecosystems finding a new equilibrium. Coral reefs, for example, which are suffering so much now. They'd have centuries to begin recovering, potentially returning to vibrant health. And we actually have real-world glimpses of this kind of process. Look at the Chernobyl exclusion zone.
Right, after the nuclear accident in '86?
Exactly. Humans left, and despite the radiation, it's become this incredible wildlife haven. Wolves, bears, lynx, Przewalski's horses, thriving. It's a stark lesson in how quickly nature can reclaim areas once humans are out of the picture. Raises real questions about how we manage landscapes, doesn't it?
It certainly does. So after all that time, what's actually left that says humans were here?
It's interesting. Some plastics would persist for a very long time, breaking down slowly. Nuclear waste obviously remains hazardous for millennia. And maybe our satellite's still orbiting silently above.
Yeah.
A strange, detached legacy.
And then even further out, say 10,000 years plus.
By then, the Earth would look remarkably pre-human, rich, biodiverse ecosystems, wildlife populations in balance, a planet largely reset.
So almost no trace. What about our grandest constructions?
Only the most massive stone structures would likely remain recognizable. Things like the pyramids, perhaps Mount Rushmore, huge geological scale carvings, silent monuments.
The Earth kind of breathes again.
That's a good way to put it. And remember, this isn't just speculation. There's science behind these predictions. We mentioned Chernobyl, but think about the COVID-19 lockdowns too back in 2020. That gave us a tiny temporary glimpse, didn't it?
It really did. I remember seeing those stories.
Pollution levels plummeted in many cities. People reported seeing dolphins in Venice canals, clearer skies in Delhi revealing the Himalayas. It showed just how immediate some of the effects of reduced human activity can be.
Yeah, many of us saw those headlines. It felt hopeful in a strange way, seeing nature respond so quickly, even temporarily.
It really drove home our impact. So let's summarize some of those impacts that would be undone. Deforestation, replaced by forest regrowth over vast areas. Fossil fuel emissions, CO2 levels would slowly start to decline. Overfishing, fish stocks would recover, potentially dramatically. Industrial pollution, rivers and oceans would gradually detoxify.
It's like a planetary cleanup. Though, as you said, some things stick around longer. Plastics would break down very slowly, but things like light and noise pollution, they're gone almost instantly. A sudden shift back to natural cycles of light and sound.
Exactly. And the point of this whole thought experiment, this deep dive, it's not to be misanthropic or say humans are bad, not at all. It's really to highlight powerfully just how interconnected we are with every single ecosystem. Our presence has profound consequences.
Right. And what's really striking is the flip side. If our absence allows nature to heal, then surely our better choices, while we're still here, can also help. Lessen our negative impact. We don't have to disappear for the planet to get healthier.
That's the crucial insight. It's about finding ways to reduce that footprint proactively.
So the big takeaway seems clear. Earth doesn't fundamentally need us, but we absolutely fundamentally need Earth.
That's the bottom line. And maybe the most powerful question this whole exercise leaves us with for you to think about is this. What if we could learn to live differently? Not like we own this planet, but like we truly belong to it as part of its intricate web, not separate from it.
We have the tools, the knowledge. It often feels like it's the collective will that's missing. Let's hope we can find that will. Let's not wait for a world without us to start fixing things. Let's work on it together now. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.